Fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2298. Today we are talking about butterflies, balance, and body's whisper. Yes. So it has been a very interesting day. I was awake at 3 o'clock this morning, up by 4:15, laid in bed, read for a little bit. Had to be online by 4:45 a.m. for my mastermind group, which started at 8 o'clock Pacific time, which here is 5 a.m. On Sunday New Zealand time, and so I was up for that and had a great mastermind session, huge mastermind session, and it felt so good to be back amongst the fellow masterminders. Yeah, I guess that's the right word. But it felt really good to be back and amongst them since I'd been out for a month or so. With everything going on with the move and all of that, it felt great to be back amongst them. We did an inventory on our assets today, which was very eye-opening and enlightening because it turns out we actually have accomplished more and have more assets than we thought we did. I made my list, and as people were talking, I'm like, oh yeah, I got that too, and I would write it down. So my list ended up being quite long, and I think I haven't added anything to it since, but I'm pretty sure there's some other stuff I can come up with if I sit down and think about it. But it was just really good to get back to basics. And now I'm in a place where I'm organized. I'm as settled as I can be right now until I get my own place and my stuff arrives. A lot of the stuff that I needed to do when I arrived has been done. Tomorrow I get this all cut, which I'm excited about. Just trying to see what else I got on my list. Yes, there's a lot of stuff I can't do at the moment, but it's going to get there. Stuff's going to keep getting crossed off the list. Stuff will get added to the list, but for the most part, most of the stuff that's on my list has been taken care of. And then after the mastermind group, I started getting pains in my ears. This one's worse than this one, and also like, oh yeah, that's right. So ever since Zephy passed, there's been a lot of stress, anxiety, overwhelm. I've been running on adrenaline most of the time because I can feel it buzzing through my body. So I've been running on adrenaline. And now that I'm in a place where everything's kind of like calming down, it's settling, I'm waiting for the adrenaline crash to hit. Actually, the last time I had an adrenaline crash that hit would have been, just after Brad passed. It's a complete meltdown day. Although the first time I ever had one was after the first 18 months of his first round with cancer. I was in work one day, could not operate, having to answer the phone with a smile on your face, while you're trying hard not to burst into tears. I was just so overwhelmed, and just thankfully nobody was in the office that day. And when I got home, Brad was so like, you're off a little bit. And I was really, really bitchy with him. And he turns around and says, get in the car, I'm taking you to the doctor. Like, he didn't even ask me, he just told me. And I was like, I'm not going to no effing doctor. And so he knew straight away that there was something wrong because I was swearing. I don't swear, usually. Very rarely do I swear. And he would always know if words started coming out of my mouth like that, there was something seriously wrong. He had to get me to the doctor. So I went off to the doctors. I remember the poor nurse comes in, takes my blood pressure. It was something like 178 over 150 something. It was high. It was dangerously high. And she says, are you feeling okay? I said, I'm being a bitch today. And she says, okay, the doctor will be right in. And with that, she like fled the room. And Brad just looked at me like, this is not normal. And the doctor comes in, he says, right. He says, what's going on with you? And I point to Brad and I go, it's all his fault. And Brad goes, what did I do? And I said, do you want me to describe the last 18 months? And Brad's like, okay, I'll shut up. And the doctor looked at me and he says, you are going on blood pressure medication and we are having no argument about it. He wrote out the prescription right there and then and wisely handed it to Brad and says, you're to go to the chemist right now, get that. And as soon as you get it, she's to take one. And Brad's like, okay. So we went through the drive-through CVS, put the prescription in. They filled it while we waited. And he also ordered a bottle of water at the same time so I could take one of the pills. I'm not taking these pills. He says, take one. Fine. So I take the pill. Within 30 minutes, I was back to normal. It was just such a huge change. I didn't go to that extreme after he passed away, despite the fact, we'd been 3 months and, with 87 days with him in hospital, home 5 days before he passed away. all of that going on. My parents were there to help me through that first month without Brad. And then I had a week by myself, and then a friend came and stayed. And then after that, when I was finally by myself, I really let go. There was a day where I was just, again, weepy and all of that. And I'm like, oh, got to be that blood pressure thingy again. So I started doing exercises and breathing and meditating to help get my blood pressure back down again. So I didn't have to go to a doctor. Can you guess I don't like going to the doctor? I only go if absolutely necessary. But anyway, so keeping all of that in mind, today when I started feeling the pain in my ears, I was like, okay, I have a compromised immune system right now. The last few months since Zeffie passed, and she passed on the 27th of July, I have been running on anxiety, stress, overwhelm, a lot of adrenaline pumping through my system. I'm now in a place where it is safe. I can release the adrenaline. I can start calming everything down. And now my immune system is compromised, so I need to be very careful about things. As soon as I felt that pain, I said to my mum, I said, do you have any cotton wool and cotton wool balls? And she says, no. She said, oh, come with me. And what she actually had is called hiker's wool, WOOL, hiker's wool. And it's sheep's wool that has been carded in a certain way and sterilized to be used on injuries and things. And I'm like, interesting, but not broken skin. So if you've got like blisters, you wrap the toe in blister in this wool thing. You don't put any tape on it. The socks hold it all in place and that sort of stuff. So she gave me a little bit, and I've got them scrunched up and just sitting just inside my ear here on both ears with some a drop of tea tree oil on each one. And the pain's already disappeared, and I've only had it in 15 minutes. Usually I leave it in about 30 minutes if I'm doing it during the day. If I'm doing it at night, I will sleep with it and probably wake up sometime during the night and pull them out. So that's taking care of that. And then while we're having lunch today. One of the things I did today is I went outside into the garden and took these really cool pictures of stuff that they have hanging up on the fences, some really cool pictures of flowers and stuff. And I'm going to be using them for backdrops for TikTok posts and turning them into reels and that sort of stuff. So keep an eye out for those. I posted one today. What was the one I posted today about? I thought I posted one today. Did I post one today? Let me have a look here. Pretty sure I did. Yes, I did. It was a colourful pot with some colourful, I think they're marigolds. No, the orange and red flowers and yellow flowers. And just reminding people to stop and breathe. Take in the moment. So I was doing little videos like this with stuff in the garden, and the wind was being very cooperative. It was pretty cool. So I had some fun doing that. And while we were having lunch, they've got a round table that sits in front of the window that overlooks one of the side gardens. And there's like a camellia bush, a lily of the valley bush, another camellia bush, a hydrangea, then another camellia bush and the hydrangeas have some daisies in front of them. And I'm looking at it though, and as I'm looking at those, Mum's just wrapping up on a story when this big monarch butterfly comes and lands on on the camellia bush right outside the window. And I was saying, oh, Granddad's come to visit us. It's the first time I have seen a butterfly here in New Zealand. And every time I see a butterfly, I think of my granddad because he gave me a very small enamel painted butterfly brooch when I was about 7 or 8. And I actually have it sitting in my nana's, my maternal grandmother's jewelry box, but it was given to me by my paternal grandfather. And Mum goes, what granddad? I says, Granddad. And I point to my dad to say, Dad's dad. And she's like, what do you mean? I says, there's a butterfly out there, and told her the story. And she's like, oh yeah, I remember you telling me that. So by that stage, the butterfly had flown off, but it was probably about, with its wings, when it had its wings up, it was probably about this tall. It was a big butterfly. And I was just like, yes, Granddad's come to visit. Welcome me home. Yay. So that's been a pretty cool afternoon. And I've been I'm at the point now where I can start doing client work again because I'm getting my days sorted out. So I can start doing client work again, which I'm thankful for. And besides doing that, I'm starting working on, because I can now take on client work, I'm working on my goals through to the end of the year for the next 6 weeks through to the end of the year. So it's been a very productive day. It's all about taking time out. And that's one thing I've noticed in New Zealand. I've slowed down a lot. It's not rush. It is taking time to slow down, smell the flowers. Zephyr loved flowers. Whenever we walked and she saw a flower, she wanted to go and sniff it. She learned very quickly that if flowers are on somebody's front yard, you cannot go in that front yard to smell their flowers because you haven't been invited. And there's times that she'll be out walking and she'll see the flower and she'll pause with one foot in the air and like look at the flowers and then look straight ahead and then carry on walking. Like she said, remember, we can't go there. But if there was flowers along the path or in the gardens and the parks that we walked through, she would wander over and sniff the flowers. And I only ever got one picture of her smelling flowers. They were Deadeye Susans, and we were in Arkansas at a winery, staying on the property there where we could walk through the grapevines and all that sort of stuff. And I happened to have my camera out, my phone out to take pictures, and I happened to turn around as she's smelling the flowers, and I actually got a picture of it. Haven't been able to get a picture of her since. So there's that. So it's balance and being present in the moment, having that time to organizing that time to work, not feeling rushed about anything, and also listening to the body's whispers. What is my body telling me? Taking that time to rest, which has been a huge advantage. Doing my afternoon snoozles at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, going and taking a 30-minute nap. And then I'm up until, and like around 8 o'clock, I start getting tired. It's time to go to work. It's time to go to sleep because I get up so early in the mornings. I'm going to bed earlier, so I can make those early morning meetings that I have to when I have to be up at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning to make a meeting. So it's all about listening to that. So I do have some reflection questions for you. Your reflection questions for today. When was the last time you paused to take inventory of what you already have to offer? What is in your inventory? What signals your body, what signals is your body giving you right now, and what is it asking for? Mine has been asking for it to just be, to be present, to just relax. I'm out of the rush. I'm out of the rat race as far as the rush goes. I'm more on the, we're on the casual path right now. Just taking the time and not doing that burnout thing. Who do you think of when you see something beautiful, unexpectedly, and what memory does it carry? When I see butterflies, I think of my grandfather. I think of the stories he used to tell us. He loved having us grandkids sitting around him. When we were small enough, we could sit on his lap. When we got bigger, we were sitting on the floor at his feet or sitting on the couch next to him as he would tell us his stories. Stories being fairy tales that had different endings. There was never, Goldilocks and Three Bears, when she ran out of the house, she ran home again. No. In my grandfather's version, she ran off somewhere else and had another adventure. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs did not end up with Snow White and the Prince riding off into the sunset for their happily ever after. It ended up it had a completely different ending. So my grandfather would take the regular fairy tales and turn them into something else. What legacy do you carry from those who have shaped you, and how do you honor it in a small way, in the small everyday ways? Always find something from what you have inherited, from traits that you have inherited, from things that you have learned from people who have been in your life, and honor them with just something small every day. And with that, I am out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling rest of your day, and we will catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific time. If you're watching from New Zealand, that is 3 p.m. Yeah, 3 p.m. New Zealand time.